So I had done a video before talking about this, and YouTube, for whatever bizarre reason, removed it. On one hand, it kind of makes me feel good because if I wasn't a threat to them with a very small channel that I have, that they keep taking away my channels, I have to restart. If I wasn't on the truth and didn't pose a threat to their ideology and to the kingdom of darkness, and offering the truth about the kingdom of light and really where we are in space and time and what's happening right now. Let me turn that up for you. They wouldn't care. But because I am nailing so many points of where we are and what's going on and how these things work, they feel the need to remove these videos. Now, I did want to go back over and discuss with you. So this is a really neat thing that this ministry did, but then they kind of biffed it at the end, if you ask my opinion. They made this really neat, big, well, in some ways, they made this really big, neat statue of Daniel, which kind of ticked off some Christians because they were like, "You are not to make idols." But I don't think anybody is actually worshiping this thing. This is to give you an idea of what Daniel's dream was, that talked about these four major kingdoms that God wanted to highlight, and was also predictive of what kingdoms and what order would come forth. And it's, if you didn't know, it's a measuring device that God gives us so that we know where we are. Because right now they're telling us that we're in year something like, the Jews are saying 5,778, and on Rosh Hashanah, that's their new year, when that new moon sliver pops up, it'll flip to 9. But that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. I think that there's a potentiality that we could be on year 5,992 and about ready to click over to 3. And you know that plus 7 years of tribulation would bring you to 6,000. And 6,000 is the end of the curse. It is the end of all of that heartache and pain. And that would be the day that Jesus returns to the earth for the Feast of Atonement. Okay. But prior to him coming on the Feast of Atonement, prior to that, he's going to split humanity into two. The sons of God who are coming with Christ for a wedding and to get our new bodies, our new spiritual bodies, and he's going to leave the slaves. And it comes down to believers or unbelievers, and he is going to do that on the Feast of Trumpets. And I could say probably 100, well, I don't know about 100, but maybe 50 videos explaining different aspects of why Rosh Hashanah, why Feast of Trumpets, why Yom Teruah, many, many other names, Yom Hadin, and so on and so forth, is the day. But I don't want to do that in this video. I've talked a little bit about those things in other videos. There is a setup to this that God wants us to understand. And we're here to the ankles, and we're looking down at these last 2 feet, these 10 toes, and you should know that in the very near future, for the sons of Adam, aka the slaves, they're going to get the world chunked up under one Antichrist ruler that hails from one nation with the Star of David, that if you criticize anything having to do with that nation, they pull your video down. So he's coming, and he is going to have 10 little helpers that help to manage the world, and something happens to 3 of them. I don't know what happens, but that's where you are down here on the feet of the statue. So you've got Babylon, you've got Medo Persia, you've got Greece, you've got Rome, and then you have this transhuman humanity 2.0, new humanity, post-humanity world coming. And that is what this clay and this iron is about. In Romans, it talks about the clay being human flesh, and in iron, If you know your stuff about the AI, the artificial intelligence that Gordy Rose and the quantum computers have been dealing with, and going into other dimensions, taking resources, the AI, the demonic entities, the fallen angels, and all that sort of thing. They are the AI that are amongst us, and they want to connect that AI to your brain. And so Elon Musk, I just did a video not that long ago, Elon Musk discussing that just in 2020, they're going to start doing the trials for connecting the brain chip into your brain and connecting AI to your brain. So that's where we are in space and time now. You're here down to the end in this fourth beast kingdom. And what's really interesting, and if this is all in Daniel, you kind of have a combination of bookends if you want to look at it that way. You've got Babylon, which is this blue and white country that was ever captives in Babylon, who brought forth the Kabbalah, who is bringing forth the Antichrist, who has point men out there that are telling people that Jesus and the Christians are wrong and evil and satanic and awful, and you need to not listen to them, and they want their Jewish Messiah. So that's happening. And then the other bookend is going to be Rome, Rome 2.0, Rome that takes over the earth, kind of like, oh, I don't know, the Pope has coexist now, and all the religions are under him. And now with Nostra Aetate, they're under the Babylon nation, who has a Antichrist coming with a Sanhedrin. They've got the Sanhedrin. They've got their priestly order. And this Passover 2019, they slaughtered an animal and sacrificed it to Yahweh. They didn't have a temple yet, but they didn't need a temple. They went that far with all of that. So if you didn't know, you have the same entities that were at the time of Christ, who put him to murder. The Sanhedrin of that nation that had ever come out of Babylon and Rome, and now you have them together, working together, as it says in Revelation 13. It talks about two beasts. So you're looking for the Pope of Rome, which is a Babylon, who is bringing all the world religions together and doing a transhumanism Humanity 2.0 conference. He just did it just a couple days ago at the Vatican. So it's all about how we can now evolve through technology and through witchcraft and meditation and all these kinds of things, and use technology to make us this new humanity, these gods on earth. That's what's happening. That is what's going on. And they're, of course, going to go underneath the Antichrist. And as I already said, you have men like Rabbi Shapira, who's going around to churches, who's going around to continents and to countries within continents, and they are bringing forth this people to go underneath the fig tree, to go underneath the Jewish Kabbalah, and to go underneath the abominable branch, the new start, the new head, the head of this Humanity 2.0. What's really interesting about this video is, so they take the time to carve this thing, which is unbelievable skill. I mean, I would not be able to do anything like what they did. On the back, they actually carved in really neat, Babylon, Medo Persia, etc. But it's funny because when they get to the end here, they biff the whole thing, this image project with Don Frost, and they go, this is the 10 nations of Europe. Ooh, we need to be really upset and concerned about the timing when there's 10 nations of Europe. Well, the EU has been there in that for a long time and has actually added more nations into it. And so much has happened since then. And it's just really sad to see the Gentile American Church, and the Jews are nowhere to give us any help, in my opinion. Nobody is really hitting on the truth of what this situation with the 10 toes at the end of the statue is about. And don't forget, then Christ the rock comes slamming in and knocks this thing over in Daniel's interpretation of the king's dream. The king here that was the head of gold, for this human kingdom, which is man believing in the lie that he can take technology into his body and become gods. It is the transhumanism lie. It is what the Vatican is doing a conference on. And I had another video on here where I discussed with you my concerns about Mount Hermon, which has a huge history with those fallen angels that ever came down and had relations with human women and created those giants, the Nephilim and all that, such as Nimrod and many others. He became a giant. So, and Goliath and all that kind of thing. So it's really important to understand that there's a UN compound on that mountain. And I think that they've got the transhuman boy himself, or man, that Antichrist, that king of Babylon, that impostor of Jesus, who's a Jew. Let's see, Jesus said someone would be coming from the desert that would be an exact impostor of me, and I'm called the king of the Jews. So put that together. You've got a forerunner with the Vatican, Rome, Babylon. You now have that one particular nation with the Sanhedrin slaughtering animals, and they probably have their Frankenchrist in that compound, and YouTube pulled that video down. But to orient you to where we are in space and time, we are down here to the ankles, and now they are looking at this kingdom of humanity 2.0 right here. And so we need to be on our toes, paying attention to the coming of the Lord. See, the Vatican has already been over to Edadel. Edadel is the kingdom in Saudi Arabia of AI spy center, also using Islam to spy on you. And Trump went over there to bless that. And I could say a bunch more about that, except that the kingdom of the Antichrist has already been created as a big brother from hell that is going to spy on you, tell you what to do, what to say, what to think, and so on and so forth. So it goes along with this whole transhumanism conference that they had, speakers and books and all this kind of stuff. And this concept that we're rolling to the end now, this humanity 2.0, this Adam Kadmon that I'm telling you is coming. So there's actually quite a few articles. I'll put links down below because I'm never going to have time to get through all of this. But just let's read a couple titles. Global thought leaders assemble at the Vatican. For the transhuman code meeting of the minds. Okay. Oh, and that was actually, I'm sorry. So it was July 29th. It wasn't quite into August yet, but it was just right prior to then. And then, so if you actually read what's going on back here, I was going to try to show you from a couple sources, but this video is going to be wrapping up pretty quick here, so we'll just hyper focus on this. But see, they think they're helping humanity. This is humane. I can't quite read all this. For your room here on earth. Yeah, so you're going to have to, if you're going to be here and you're not going to go with Jesus, who's coming on the Feast of Trumpets for a variety of reasons, and we'll do videos talking about that later. He fulfills feasts, though, to the day. You are going to have to submit to this coming humanity 2.0 post-human, get into the Antichrist, go through the Kabbalah, go through the Messiah that one particular nation is putting forth, and then you'll truly have the love and compassion. You will have a new eternal life because they're going to give you life extension through the technology. There's so much that's said here. Only one dream. I really want to get into what this is all saying. You're helping humanity. So they are giving you a false peace. They're giving you a false gospel. They're giving you a false spirit. They're giving you a false Messiah, and they're giving you a false kingdom. And it all goes together. It's all part and parcel of this AI Big Brother, Edadel, 5G, surveillance from the heavens, down to watching everything that you do on social media, everything that you say and think, including a video that we just talked about, Trump saying that they're now going to be going after people that pose a threat, conspiracy theorists, anti-government, and other things. So that's all coming.
it's all coming to a head, friends. Thank you.